What's up guys, Chris here from Mainly Mesh. Today I am giving you the much awaited, updated, player hated CEO pattern. This has String King 2S mesh in it, courtesy of a special request by Brett Wang. Awesome email that reminded me that I really needed to get on top of this. But this pattern should work for 2X and Hero Mesh as well. With just a few I'll show you how to kind of properly break it in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the pattern. There are a few things that are a little funky, but most importantly, after I go through the pattern, I'm going to talk about some of the theory behind why this is such a difficult head to string and what your shooter setup should be in order to accommodate that. So pattern is as follows. It's a 9-diamond top string, except what you're going to see I did is I essentially broke apart the hitch for the 4th and 6th diamonds, because really that mesh bridge should sit right in between these two scoop holes. So all I did is I did one half of the bridge on one sidewall hole, on one scoop hole, and then another half of the bridge on another scoop hole. So it looks kind of weird, but it's actually a lot easier to do than you might think at first glance. And so I tied that top string to the first sidewall hole, and then I tied the first 10 diamond row to the second sidewall hole. Also have been having some requests as to how I tie those. I literally just loop up twice. You can look at the goalie tutorials for that. I'll do a little tutorial Tuesday about that, maybe even today, considering it's Tuesday. And then you're gonna skip. So after tying the first 10 diamond row to the second sidewall hole, you're gonna skip, knotted SI, knotted SI, skip, skip, knotted SI, knotted SI, skip, stacked SI, tie, one while skipping a hole, and then one to tying off in the bottom sidewall hole. Few things that are going to jump out to you. This is a little more similar to a PAL Pioneer pattern, and a lot of it has to do with the high flare of this pinch. What that high flare is going to do, having the head staying pinched higher up on the stick, means that if you string your normal pattern, naturally the mesh is going to want to be deeper, higher in the pocket, which for a lot of the patterns I've come up with in the last year and a half isn't necessarily something that I do. If you're looking for a head that's going to be, people think of this as a low pocket head because it has such a nice flare and that's where the offset sits. It's actually going to naturally tend to shoot a little higher in terms of where the ball is sitting when you're cocking back your stick for the shot, despite being a very nice low pocket head when you're cradling one-handed. What this means is that a normal shooter setup, like a type A shooter setup, is going to have a little bit more width than usual. So as you guys are stringing this up, and you probably are going to be tying in your normal shooting string setup, you're going to feel like, oh, this actually has a little bit more whip than it looks like it would have. So what I did back in college when I used the CEO consistently is I actually did a type B shooter setup. So play around with either a full type B shooter setup where you move both of these shooting strings and shooting cords up a row, or even moving just the shooting string up a row. Just consider moving the shooting strings up a little bit to have a little bit more of the whip you're looking for with a standard Mainly Mesh pocket. It's just something worth playing around with just because of the face shape of the head. Also, in terms of this being a face-off pocket, if you string it with just kind of normal SIs, it'll be pretty good. When you're having a pocket this defined channel-wise, you can see as you punch the pocket in on the back, sometimes you can get the ball stuck as you're trying to pull the ball out. So there are a few different variants you can do to make this a little bit more conducive to face-offs. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this pattern. Keep in mind too, if you're stringing it up with Hero Mesh or String King 2X, what you're going to want to do is what I call breaking in the channel lines. So you're going to take your thumbs, and if this channel is too tight, you're just going to rub your thumbs along the side. It's easy when you have it stationed on something solid, and that's going to help break in specifically the channel and not anywhere else in the stick that you don't want broken in. So it's a little bit different than pounding it down on a ball, which is what we do sometimes to get a little bit more depth. This basically just widens out the channel a little bit so that you're not worried about the ball snagging or hooking. If you have an awesome cue ball setup like Tratty Tree does, you can run the ball through. Typically, we take a greaser of a ball and drill a hole in it, stick it on a shaft, and run that through the stick. But yeah, a little bit extra maintenance on this head, but a really cool head nonetheless, and hopefully this is a pattern that you guys enjoy. Please let me know down in the comments what you guys think about it. If, like I said, if it does throw a little bit more down than you're expecting with your normal shooter setup, try mixing up the shooter setups. Other than that, I think that's about it. Time to get going on some more videos because it's Tutorial Tuesday, of course. Thanks so much. Catch you guys next time.